What are the underlying motivations for both the United States and Iran to engage in indirect talks mediated by Oman?
Thank you so much for having me. The motivations are clear and has been for a long time for Iran. Um, their arms in the region has been eroded. In addition to the U.S. intervention, the semi-intervention in Yemen, and there are risks threatening the Iranian state for the first time for long years. For long years, the U.S. Fleet is approaching, and a semi-siege is being imposed, increasing the troops in the Garcia base, and therefore the U.S. is directly threatening and escalating the dialogue between Israel and the Iranian Republic. And therefore, there are very strong motivations, especially following the US President's statements that he might resort to military action to prevent Iran from having a nuclear bomb and neutralizing this threat. The US motives are known after canceling the deal between Iran and the United States, which was signed into in the Biden reign. Sorry, in the Obama reign, there was a large gap between the accelerated Iranian nuclear program and the US attempt to prevent Iran from having a nuclear bomb. Increasing the sanctions did not prevent Iran from continuing the peaceful nuclear program, which, according to the US, is targeting the production of a nuclear bomb. Of course, the US administration wants a diplomatic and political victory, in addition to showing and demonstrating that they are the influencing power in the Middle East. Iran also wants to minimize the imposed sanctions, which are undermining the Iranian growth and preventing the continuation of the development projects away from the armament race that started in the region years ago. And therefore, the US is targeting canceling the Iranian nuclear program and preventing Iran from using middle to long missiles. And Iran also wants to demonstrate that it is a peaceful state with a peaceful nuclear program, and it is also wants to protect its territories from any military actions, and also wants to be
Yes, sir.
integrated in the
Your
international
point is clear,
community.
sir. But I would like to delve into the developments of the nuclear talks. So, the Iranian foreign minister has said that there's a chance to reach a fair and honorable agreement if both parties approach these talks with an equal stance. How does Iran's insistence on a fair and honorable agreement, as he described, reflect its broader strategic objectives? And what does this reveal about Tehran's approach to international negotiations?
Of course, Iran does not want to receive a military hit, whether to its peaceful nuclear programs or others. They do not want it to be neutralized, and they want to maintain the weapons and the level of scientific research that they reached in 4 years. And with the escalation of the increasing U.S. troops in the region and supporting Israel to carry out military operations that might threaten the Iranian sovereignty, the U.S. wants to stop the nuclear program and want to neutralize the Iranian threat. The demands are contradicting from both sides, but there is a room for an agreement, according to the mediators. the mediator Oman, the representative of Oman, and there are positive messages, and there is a possibility for another meeting next Saturday to respond to the demands and requests of each party. In addition, there is also consultations between the Iranian Foreign Affairs ministers and the U.S. convoy Witkoff and the U.S. administration.
Mhm. Going back to the point you mentioned, which is the U.S. administration maximum pressure on Iran, in what ways will it influence the negotiation dynamics, and how does it align with President Trump's stated goal of preventing Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons?
The tactics of negotiations differ. The U.S. Tactics, according to the new U.S. administration, on top of which the President Donald Trump wants to exert maximum pressure, threatening military action. This is happening for the first time in the international politics arena. It's polarizing and it brings caution. According to the U.S. president approach inside the U.S., dismissing thousands of workers and starting new strategies, and also the tariffs that surprised the world and caused the decline of world exchange markets. And this maximum pressure approach adopted by the US president is met with a different Iranian tactic, including minimizing the escalation tactic and expressing the desire to negotiate and also setting the parameters for the negotiations. Iran does not want to talk except about the peacefulness of the nuclear program and also maintaining the armament programs that costed Iran hundreds of billions of dollars, starting a new phase showing Iran as a country that does not intervene in other countries' affairs, especially that they have limited influence at the moment, as they also wanted to alleviate the sanctions, which gets it into a new phase in line with the international community trends, which is supported with by some of the states that that could advantage from the bilateral relations in different fields, including energy. The
So,
U.S.
Mr. Mohammed, sorry for cutting in, but Iran has emphasized to label these talks as indirect. How will this impact the broader Middle Eastern security landscape?
Of course, it is a defense and offense strategy. The positive side is the Omani mediator. The U.S. had some conservations, and going back to another round of negotiations, the talks that took place are not revealed yet. What is being stated by Iran now is that they are trying to sound coherent before the international community and the Iranian inside, which are conceiving Iran as a weak country at the moment, and that it can be military targeted if they insist to confront the new international power that is unfortunately supporting Israel and its role in the Middle East region.
Mhm. Now, looking ahead, what are the potential pathways for these indirect talks to evolve into direct negotiations, and what conditions would need to be met for such a transition to take place?
the transition won't be a result of only one meeting. So it is expected, and Iran is planning for a series of negotiations and talks to try to find a common ground. First of all, to break this threatening tone adopted by the U.S. president, and also that the level of negotiations, sending a representative of the US president and not the Minister of Foreign Affairs, means that the US has a plan B or an alternative option if Iran does not accept what the US calls as pressure, or what Iran calls as an attempt to find common grounds in the negotiations. There is another kind of negotiations based on military action. Iran here is buying time, and the US wants a swift and decisive agreement with set goals to cancel the nuclear program and to stop the production of long-term and middle-term weapons. And Iran also wants to talk about the peacefulness of the nuclear program, and that the Iran would not be submitted to these U.S. pledges.